At our nice storytellers tonight, let's hear it for Paul, everybody. Here comes Paul.
So I'm 23 years old, and I'm walking through the farm labor camps in Indio, California, a place in the Coachella Valley in Southern California. And my training officer is a guy named Courtney Winty, who makes me look small. And he's trying to show me around the exits, the entrances, and all I really see are these cinder block buildings painted white to dispense with some of the heat of the desert. And a lot of dirt everywhere. A really fine dirt, almost reminds you of like an unbleached bread flour, just blowing everywhere on our uniforms, on our equipment, just engulfing everywhere we went. And it made it hard to see things. As we're walking through the camp, it's a November evening, the sun started to set right over the bluffs. And as that happened, the wind died down. And when the wind died down, even though it was getting darker, I could see more. And then what I noticed was this wonderful aroma of food being cooked everywhere throughout these buildings, and children playing outside, and people just having a good time. And my whole concept of where I was changed. And then I noticed when the wind calmed down that these bugs came up, and I was trying to swat them away like this and like that, and they were zinging by me. And all of a sudden, Courtney, who was kind of a big fish in a small pond, had been to the FBI Academy and had a great deal of training, but he grew up in this area, grabbed me by the back of my uniform and dragged me to the ground. And he said, "Those aren't bugs, they're shooting at you." And of course, just being out of the academy, 23 years old, and I think I'm invincible, I jump right back up and say, "Where are they?" And of course, he pulls me back down to the ground again and says, "What part of their shooting at you did you not understand?" He grabs his radio out of his side of his belt, and he clicks it on, and he says, "Light them up." And on the side of the bluff, you could see about 3 or 4 police cars just light up the side of the hill, and the guys that were shooting at us start to run. And he says, "That's why we're here." And I said, "What does that mean? We're bait?" And he said, "Kind of." He said, the people that live here come here from other places, they work really hard, and they provide a service to the community. He goes, and those guys up on the hill follow them here because they can come and pick on them and then go back across the border whenever they feel like it. He says, so we're here to let those bullies know that this is our dirt and they don't belong. He goes, "Do you get it now?" I said, "Yes, I do." He said, "So whenever you're working on the north side of town, I want you to spend as much time as you can here, because that's what we all do. Life's about a bunch of decisions. Some of the decisions that you'll make in a split second will be judged by many for sometimes weeks or months to come. But that's what your job is, making decisions." So after I was released, I would go to the farm labor camps and park my vehicle in the center. And I'd do something kind of stupid, and that is turn all my lights off on the vehicle on the outside and just leave one little light on in the inside so I could write my reports, which, by the way, is what police officers spend most of their time doing, writing reports. Now, the reason that's not a good idea is because I can't see outside so well, but you can see me on the inside. And I was parked, and I did it on purpose just to kind of say, I don't like bullies. In fact, the 2 reasons I became a police officer, one was my dad used to tell amazing stories about being a cop in Los Angeles County, and 2, I hate bullies. That's why I became a cop. So I'd park my car there. One night, about 4 in the morning, I could see in my rearview mirror somebody walking up to my car, and they had a hooded sweatshirt on. And as I looked closer in the dark, I could see he had something shiny in the right hand. And I started to get nervous. Do I get on my radio? Do I turn on my lights? They're getting too close. All I could do was draw my weapon, lean it against the door, and wait. And I thought to myself, I'm 23 years old. I'm going to end up dying in this dirt right out here, this bread flour dirt. And as the person got closer, I saw their hands start to rise. And they start to rise. I started to pull the hammer back on my weapon, getting ready for the inevitable. And they pulled the hood off over the sweatshirt hood off of their head. And what I saw was a 60-something-year-old woman. And that shiny object in her hand was tortillas rolled up in foil. In her other hand, a cup of coffee. She walks over to the car. She says, "Hello," taps me on the shoulder like this as she hands me the tortillas and the coffee. And she says, "Thank you." And as quickly as she was there, giving me a heart attack, she walks away. I couldn't talk about it for 2 weeks because I probably could have been justified had I shot her, but I would have been ruined. She would have been dead, or vice versa. It was just a terrible situation. But about 2 weeks later, it was Christmas. And when I showed up to the station, I decided I was going to tell Courtney everything that happened. And I walked into the station and into the briefing room, and I said, "I got to talk to you about something." He says, "Talk to me after you go in and get breakfast." And I said, "What are you talking about?" And I walked inside the briefing room, and the entire place was filled with homemade Mexican food. And all these ladies leaving, including the lady who had tapped me on the shoulder earlier that week, or a couple of weeks ago, saying thank you again and walking away. And he goes, "Hey, Merrick, is that what you wanted to talk to me about?" And I said, "She already talked to you?" He goes, "It's all about making decisions. Obviously, you made the right one. Merry Christmas."